He lives in a house where every door is unlocked. No one forced him in, no one keeps him there. And yet, he never leaves. The windows let in golden light, the coffee is always warm. The shelves are lined with books he never opens. The TV glows softly in the corner, offering a constant stream of noise, just enough to drown the silence but never enough to spark anything real. To the outside world he's doing fine. No chaos, no hunger, no violence, just comfort. But what if I told you he's more trapped than a prisoner? Not because he's behind bars, but because the bars aren't needed anymore. He doesn't resist, he doesn't fight, and he doesn't even remember when he stopped. That's the genius of the cage he lives in. It wasn't built with steel, it was built with softness, with stability, with predictability. It was built with just enough pleasure to keep the fire inside him quiet. And now, it's almost gone. He wasn't always like this. Once, he was wild, curious, hungry for life. He used to wake up with questions burning in his chest. He used to chase things, adventure, truth, purpose, love. He used to believe he was made for something big, but then came the steady paycheck. Then came the easy food. Then came the couch, the air conditioning, the mindless comfort of routine. And somewhere between just for now and this is easier, he stopped chasing, stopped asking, stopped moving, and he started surviving. Now pause. Before you pity him, before you call him weak, or lost, or broken, look in the mirror. Look at your life, not your Instagram, not your highlights, not the smile you've mastered for the world, but your real life. How different are you, really? Be honest. How many of your days feel identical? How often do you wake up and feel like your life is playing on loop? The same coffee, the same commute, the same small talk, the same lunch, the same scroll through your phone, the same vague sense of May, before bed. And then you do it all again. You're not in pain, you're not struggling, but you're not alive either. You're in that in-between state, that slow, quiet, pleasant kind of death that looks like life from far away. It's not a crisis, it's a coma. And the worst part, you've been trained to love it. You've been told that this dull, safe, comfortable existence is the dream. They told you to work hard in school so you could get a job that doesn't challenge you. So you could buy things that don't matter. So you could spend your weekends trying to escape the life you've built from Monday to Friday. They told you to chase security instead of meaning. And you believed them, because it was easier. Because the alternative was scary. Because chasing something more meant risking what you already had. And no one wants to give up comfort, even if it's killing them slowly. Comfort is seductive like that. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't imprison you. It lulls you. It wraps around you like a soft blanket, until you stop noticing how cold your soul has become. Because here's the truth, nobody wants to admit. Comfort is the most dangerous addiction in the world. Worse than any drug. More subtle than any trap, because it feels good. And that's why it's lethal. It doesn't just kill your dreams. It makes you forget you ever had them. It doesn't just steal your ambition. It convinces you ambition is overrated. It doesn't just take your fire. It makes you believe that fire was foolish to begin with. And little by little you become someone else. Not a villain. Not a failure. Just a diluted version of who you could have been. A softer, safer, quieter version. A version that doesn't ask, doesn't chase, doesn't leap. A version that settles. A version that shrinks to fit the life they were handed. A version that stays in the house with the open doors. Not because they can't leave, but because they've forgotten why they ever wanted to. This is the true comfort cage. And you don't escape it with force. You escape it with fire. But first, you have to recognize it for what it is. You have to stop calling this peace, when it's really apathy. You have to stop calling this rest, when it's really resignation. You have to stop calling this happiness when it's really distraction. Because the longer you lie to yourself, the deeper the cage gets. And here's the thing, no one will say to your face, if you're not growing, you're dying. And comfort doesn't grow you. It doesn't test you. It doesn't sharpen you. It doesn't stretch your soul or make you stronger. Comfort keeps you exactly where you are, day after day, year after year. Until one day you wake up and realize the world moved on, and you didn't. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something that scared you? When was the last time you risked failure for something that mattered? When was the last time you let yourself be uncomfortable on purpose? If you can't remember, then you already know. You're in the cage, and the door has been open the whole time. The question is, are you ready to walk out? Let's stop pretending for a moment. No filters, no excuses, no borrowed quotes about self-love or peace, just the raw, unvarnished truth. You are not fine. You've just gotten really good at convincing yourself you are. You smile, you show up, you do what's expected. But deep down, something feels off, like a hum beneath the silence, a pull beneath your ribs, a whisper you've ignored for so long it's almost become background noise. You're not broken, you're just disconnected. Disconnected from the life you were meant to live, from the version of you that once wanted more, from the hunger you silenced with routine, with Netflix, with to-do lists, with scrolling and snacking and numbing and nodding along. Because that's what you were taught, right? Be grateful. Be realistic. Don't make waves. Play it safe. Get a job. Buy a couch. Watch a show. Sleep. Repeat. But let me ask you something. When exactly did survival become the same as living? When did not failing become the same as succeeding? When did we agree that comfort was the goal? Who told you that life was supposed to feel like lukewarm water every single day? Because here's the bomb no one dares to drop. Comfort is not your friend. It's not your reward. It's not your peace. It's not your happy ending. Comfort is the enemy dressed as a gift. It lures you in, makes you feel safe, and then slowly, invisibly, it robs you of everything that once made you powerful. Your fire, your passion, your edge, your soul, not in one dramatic blow, but in tiny consistent trades. You trade discomfort for routine. You trade purpose for peace. You trade passion for paychecks. You trade adventure for approval. And before you even realize what happened, you're not living your life. You're managing it. You're not a creator. You're a consumer. You're not rising. You're floating just above drowning. You wake up and don't remember the last time you felt awake. You sleep and don't remember the last time you felt rested. You talk and don't remember the last time your words had weight. Because here's the truth. The system is working exactly as it was designed. It was never built to make you free. It was built to make you obedient, to make you predictable, to give you just enough to feel okay, but never enough to truly change anything, to distract you with content, to reward you with convenience, to feed you answers before you ever ask the right questions. And it's so quiet, so invisible, so gentle, that you don't even notice it. You just slowly stop. You stop pushing. You stop dreaming. You stop moving forward. And you tell yourself you're just tired. But you're not tired. You're unchallenged. You haven't fought for anything in a long time. You haven't chased anything that scared you. You haven't stepped outside the lines they drew for you when you were too young to say no. You've been stuck in a loop. And maybe you didn't build the loop, but you're the one keeping it spinning. Because change would require you to admit you've been asleep, that you've settled, that you've sold off your fire piece by piece in exchange for the illusion of peace. And no one wants to admit that. Because once you do, you can't go back to pretending. Once you see the bars, even if they're invisible, you start to feel them pressing in. And the most terrifying realization isn't that the cage was locked. It's that it never was. You could have left at any time. You still can. But now you've built a life inside it. Decorated the walls. Given it a name. You've told yourself it's a castle, when deep down you know it's a cell. And if you admit that now, if you accept that truth, everything changes. You'll have to burn the blueprint you were given. You'll have to walk through the storm instead of around it. You'll have to risk being seen, risk failing, risk starting over. And that is terrifying. But do you know what's even more terrifying? Waking up 5 years from now, exactly where you are, still waiting for the right time, still waiting for the perfect plan, still convincing yourself that one day is coming, while your days blur into each other like a bad dream you can't quite wake up from. That's not life. That's delay dressed up as discipline. And you know it. You feel it. That ache in your chest. That quiet grief you can't name. That deep knowing that this is not what you were made for. Because you weren't made for autopilot. You weren't made for beige days and low ceilings and dreams that die quietly because no one clapped loud enough. You weren't made to survive life. You were made to live it. Fully, bravely, wildly. So ask yourself again, are you living, or just existing? Are you building something that matters? or just maintaining something that doesn't. Because here's the hard truth. You can't be both safe and free. You can't cling to comfort and chase growth. You can't numb the fear and still feel the fire. You have to choose. And no one's going to choose for you. No one's going to knock on your door with a map and a mission and a miracle. No one's going to save you from the life you're settling for. That's your job. And it starts right here, with this moment. This voice in your head that's growing louder. This fire that's trying to reignite. This truth you can't unsee now that it's been spoken. The question is no longer what if. It's what now. What if I told you you've been trading away the most powerful parts of your life, and you didn't even notice? Not in big moments, not in dramatic scenes, but slowly, silently, in the quiet choices you make every single day. You traded your ambition for approval, your creativity for convenience, your purpose for predictability, and you didn't even know it, because the trade never felt like a loss. It felt like a raise. It felt like stability. It felt like a good decision made by a mature version of you. But here's the haunting truth. The system doesn't need to kill your fire all at once. It just needs to keep it low enough that it never spreads. That's what comfort does. That's how it works. It doesn't take away your life. It just makes it small. Tiny risks, tiny victories, tiny dreams, tiny you. And then one day, you look around and realize you've built a life that looks nothing like the one you imagined. You're still alive, but you're not living. You're getting by, but you're not becoming. You're maintaining a machine you were never meant to build. A calendar filled with tasks. A bank account filled with just enough. A mind full of worries you never asked for. And a heart that beats only when something breaks through the numbness. But it wasn't always like this, was it? You remember who you were before the trade began. Before the noise got louder than the voice inside you. Before the routine became more important than the dream. There was a time maybe when you were younger, or freer, or more naive, when you thought you could do something incredible, something that mattered, something that would leave a mark. And then came the real world. The be realistic speeches. The bills. The expectations. The job you didn't want but took anyway. The career path you didn't choose but walked anyway. The life you didn't mean to build but kept reinforcing brick by brick. And now the cage is made of your own hands. Your own choices. Your own silence. That's the cost of comfort. It costs you the real you. And here's the sickest part of it all. You're rewarded for it. Applauded for it. They call you responsible, consistent, practical. But deep inside, you know something sacred was traded away to earn that applause. And the applause never lasts. So you work harder, buy more, achieve more, distract more. And it works for a while. Until you catch your own reflection and feel nothing. Until you hear yourself talking and realize you haven't said something true in weeks. Until you sit in silence and feel the weight of everything you never became. And that's when it hits you. The cost of comfort isn't in what it gives you. It's in what it takes away. It takes away the sleepless nights that come from chasing something that scares you, but excites you too. It takes away the butterflies of taking a risk that might just change everything. It takes away the thrill of building something with your bare hands, of failing and rising, of stumbling and still moving forward. Comfort erases chaos, yes, but it also erases magic. And that's the tragedy. Because a life without pain isn't the same as a life with peace. A life without risk isn't the same as a life with meaning. A life without discomfort isn't the same as a life with joy. You start to forget that the best things you've ever experienced came with fear. Falling in love, starting something new, taking a leap into the unknown. Every one of those moments came with shaking hands and racing hearts. And every one of them made you feel alive. That's what comfort steals from you. That's the price it charges every day. The moments that could have made your life cinematic. Traded for calm, the passion that could have turned your work into art. Traded for routine, the strength you could have gained from struggle. Traded for ease, and you never get those trades back. That's the currency you're spending. That's what you're giving up to stay safe, predictable, calm, average. And maybe you're thinking, but isn't peace a good thing? Isn't safety something we're supposed to want? Yes, but not at the cost of your soul. Peace without purpose is prison. Safety without growth is a slow death. And comfort without challenge is a lie dressed as love. You're not meant to spend your one and only life anesthetized. You're meant to feel it, to burn, to bleed, to be reborn. But that can't happen when your first priority is never being uncomfortable. Because nothing beautiful was ever born in ease. Nothing legendary ever came from a comfort zone. Comfort zones are where dreams go to be forgotten. And the longer you stay there, the harder it is to remember that you ever had them. So let's get specific. What has comfort already taken from you? What song did you never write? What trip did you never take? What love did you never fight for? What business did you never start? What idea did you bury under maybe next year? Those aren't small things. Those are pieces of your potential, gone. And if that doesn't scare you, it should. Because regret is a heavier burden than failure will ever be. And one day, you'll be forced to face that cost. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. When the hair is grayer, the fire is dimmer, the dreams are further, you'll sit with yourself truly alone, and hear the echoes of all the things you didn't become. And no comfort will save you then. No couch, no paycheck, no show. No distraction, just you, and the weight of what you could have been. Unless you decide to change it now. Unless you say enough. Unless you realize that the cost of staying the same is everything you could have been. Because the price of comfort is high, but the price of your soul, the price of your fire, that's something you should never ever be willing to trade. Let me tell you something they never teach you in school. Discomfort is not the enemy, it's the invitation. Every great life starts the moment someone says, I'm willing to be uncomfortable, willing to hurt, willing to struggle, willing to bleed. Because everything that's ever shaped you truly shaped you came wrapped in pain. It wasn't the easy moments that carved out your strength. It was the chaos, the heartbreak, the rejection, the failure, the night you cried so hard your body shook, and the morning after, when you still got up. Those weren't your lowest moments, those were your becoming. That's what no one tells you. That your power is built in the breaking. Your purpose is born in the pressure. Your future is forged in fire, not comfort. And every scar you carry isn't something to be ashamed of. It's your map. A reminder of every time life tried to crush you. And failed. Because here's the truth. You don't grow in the calm. You don't become in the routine. You don't awaken in the quiet lull of everything going as planned. You grow when nothing goes right. You become when you're forced to let go of everything you thought made you safe. You awaken when comfort is stripped away, and all that's left is you. Raw, real, wild, unfinished, ready. You've been lied to for too long. We've been told that success means arriving at a place of ease, of balance, of a perfectly scheduled, aesthetically pleasing life where nothing ever rattles you. But here's what that lie never shows. That without discomfort, you never stretch. You never dig deep. You never meet the version of you who can survive the storm and smile afterward. Not because it was easy, but because you endured. You see, discomfort is the gym where your soul trains. It's the cold water you jump into that shocks you awake. It's the darkness that forces you to find your own light. And once you learn to stop fearing it, everything changes. Because most people don't avoid discomfort because it's painful. They avoid it because it reveals the truth. It shows them what they believe about themselves. It holds up a mirror and says, let's see who you really are. And that's terrifying. Until it's not. Until you realize that discomfort doesn't break you. It reveals you. And that revelation, that's your liberation. Think about anyone you admire. Not just the wealthy, the loud, the popular. Think about the people who truly moved you. The ones whose stories you couldn't forget. The ones who walked through hell, and somehow came out gold. Every single one of them had a moment when comfort would have been the easier choice. And they said no. They walked into the fire, not because they weren't afraid, but because they knew there was something more on the other side of that fear. Something they couldn't find in safety. Something they couldn't fake. Growth. That real kind of growth that changes how you see the world. That expands your spirit. That gives your life weight. But you can't get that through passive living. You get it by choosing the hard path, by saying yes to the unknown, by showing up for your own evolution, even when it hurts. So what does that look like in your life? Maybe it means finally walking away from that job that's been quietly killing you. Maybe it means saying no to people who drain you, even if they've known you for years. Maybe it means risking embarrassment to chase the dream you buried under logic. Maybe it means waking up earlier, turning off the noise, writing the book, starting the brand, ending the relationship. moving cities, beginning again, not because it's easy, but because staying the same is killing your soul slowly. That's what discomfort teaches you. That pain is not your punishment. It's your signal. It's your teacher. It's the ancient language of growth. Raw, real, necessary. And when you stop avoiding it, when you stop labeling it as bad, you begin to see it for what it truly is. The path, the way, the sacred fire that burns away everything false until only the truth remains. Let's go deeper. You know that feeling, the tightness in your chest when you think about changing something big. That voice that says, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I end up with nothing? That voice isn't your enemy either. It's your edge. And your edge is where everything real lives. Because here's the secret. That fear you feel, that's how you know you're close. Fear doesn't show up when you're wasting time. It doesn't whisper when you're scrolling endlessly, or doing what everyone else does. Fear only shows up when something important is on the line. It only shows up when you're about to do something true. So let it come. Let it shake your hands and twist your stomach. That's the price of the door. But walk through it anyway. Because what's waiting on the other side isn't just growth. It's you. The you who never needed permission. The you who never wanted ordinary. The you who was born to build something more than just a well-decorated cage. You don't need comfort. You need courage. You need conviction. You need a reason to sweat, to struggle, to show up and fight for something that matters. Because comfort might make your days easier, but discomfort will make your life worth it. Let that land. Let it burn, because that fire you feel rising in your chest right now, that's your real self trying to come back. Don't let it die again. So now you've heard it all. You've seen the truth, felt the pull, faced the fire. You've watched your comfort unravel in front of your eyes. You've seen the cage for what it really is. But none of that means anything if you walk away unchanged. Because this is the moment. This right here. This is the fork in the road. The line in the sand. The breath before the break. Right now, two versions of your life are standing in front of you. One is the same path you've been walking. Safe, predictable, familiar. A life where nothing is truly wrong. But nothing ever feels deeply right either. The cycle continues. The numbness stays. The fire fades. The distractions win. And you slowly, quietly disappear beneath the weight of normal. But the other life. It's wild, unstable, scary. It demands more from you than you've ever given. It pulls you into places you can't control. Forces you to shed everything false. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you real. And if you choose it, if you say yes to the hard way, the honest way, the you way, everything changes. Not immediately, not perfectly, but fully. Because that version of life doesn't reward those who follow the script. It rewards those who write their own. Here's what no one tells you. Most people never choose. They wait, they stall, they scroll, they wish, and they die wondering what it would have felt like to truly live. They wait for signs that never come. They wait for confidence that only comes after courage. They wait until they feel ready. But let me be brutally honest. You will never feel ready. There will never be a moment where fear disappears and everything is perfectly aligned. There will never be a green light bright enough to guarantee the road will be safe. And if you keep waiting, you'll wake up one day with a heart full of what ifs and a life that barely echoes your name. So the real question isn't, should I do it? The real question is, am I willing to live with the regret if I don't? Because regret is brutal. It doesn't shout, it whispers. At 2 a.m., when the room is dark and the noise is gone, it whispers, you were meant for more. You had a chance. You could have been someone else. And by then, it's too late. You still have time. You still have fire. And the door is still open. So what's stopping you? Fear. Good. That means it matters. If there's no fear, it's not worth it. Fear means you're about to do something important. Something you've never done before. Something that actually means something. Let the fear come. And move anyway. Let your voice shake. Let your hands tremble. Let your mind scream. But take the step. Because you will never grow without the leap. You will never evolve by clinging to what no longer fits. And you will never find out what's on the other side of the cage, unless you walk through it. You say you want a new life. Good. But here's the truth. A new life will cost you your old one. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you relationships that don't align. It will cost you routines that keep you stagnant. It will cost you habits that numb, instead of nourish. It will cost you the version of you that's made of apologies, fear, and delay. But you know what you get in return. You get you. The real you. The one who shows up. The one who tries again. The one who speaks their truth. The one who creates. The one who loves louder.
Yo.
Feels deeper. Lives fuller. The one who doesn't need permission to become unforgettable. That version of you, it's not found in comfort. It's forged in fire. So now it's your turn. The voice you hear right now. The one rising in your chest. The one that feels like a spark trying to break free. That's not a coincidence. That's your wake-up call. And you can either silence it, or answer it. You can scroll past this and go back to your old life. Or you can say, this ends here. You can choose the same easy path you've always walked. Or you can say, let's go. Let's fail. Let's fall. Let's fall. Let's rise. Let's live. Because the cage was never locked. The cage was you, keeping yourself small because someone once told you that was safer. But safety is not what you were made for. You were made for storms, for fire, for light, for creation. You were made to lead, to rise, to break patterns and to leave marks that never fade. You were made to feel the full weight of your own life, and still stand tall. So here it is. The door, the moment, the choice. Do you stay, or do you rise? Because this isn't about motivation. This is about movement. It's about choosing discomfort over decay. It's about stepping into the unknown even if it means falling. Because falling is better than fading. It's about deciding right here, right now, that you refuse to live a life that feels like background noise in your own story. This is it. No more pretending. No more waiting. No more someday. The time is now. The fire is now. The choice is now. So choose. And never look back. Here's what they won't tell you. If you stay where you are, if you choose comfort, if you keep delaying the life you were meant to live, you won't just miss out on something better. You'll lose something sacred. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic shattering moment, but slowly, quietly, piece by piece, day after day, until one morning you look in the mirror and realize, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're still there, sure, physically, same face, same body, same routine, but something's missing. The spark, the fight, the wild burning piece of you that used to dream without permission. It's gone, not dead, just dormant, starved, fading in the shadows of everything you were too afraid to chase. And that's how most people die. Not in their final breath, but in the slow erosion of everything that once made them feel alive. That's the real tragedy. Not failure, not rejection, not loss, but becoming a watered-down version of yourself because staying numb was easier than starting over. So let me ask you something raw, something real. How long have you been pretending? How many mornings have you woken up and gone through the motions, convincing yourself that this is fine? How many times have you silenced that inner voice, the one that still believes in more, because listening to it would force you to admit that your current life isn't enough? How long have you been breathing without feeling, working without growing, living without living? And don't lie to yourself this time, because if you're still listening, still here, still feeling this fire, then some part of you, maybe small, maybe buried, knows the truth. You were never meant to settle. You were never built to repeat the same safe day over and over until the calendar runs out. You were made for meaning, and you know what meaning costs. Comfort. Meaning costs the pretty lie of maybe later. Meaning costs the safety blanket of average. Meaning costs the fragile, fake piece of never trying. So no, this isn't about being fine. This is about the price of pretending you are. Because if you stay here, if you keep choosing comfort over courage, you won't just waste time, you'll waste you. And there is nothing sadder, nothing heavier, nothing harder to live with than the quiet knowing that you never even tried. People say life is short. That's not true. Life is long when you're not living it. Life is endless when every day feels the same. When the fire is out, the colors fade. The voice inside you goes quiet. That kind of life, that's the real prison. That's the hell no one talks about. And the bars, they're made of your own excuses. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I'll start when things calm down. They won't understand. What if I fail? But do you want to know the truth? You're already failing. Not because you're not rich, not because you're not famous, not because you haven't made it, but because you're ignoring your own soul's hunger for something more. That's failure. And it kills you one unspoken truth at a time, one unused talent, one abandoned dream, one ignored gut instinct after another. And here's where it gets real. No one is coming to fix it. No one is going to wake you up. No one is going to throw open your cage and drag you out. They're all busy, trapped in their own comfort, addicted to their own distractions, too afraid to move and too afraid to watch you move. Because if you change, it reminds them that they could too. And that's what terrifies them. So they'll say, you're being unrealistic. You're being selfish. You're risking too much. But what they really mean is don't leave. Your courage makes my fear too loud, so let them talk. Let them doubt you. Let them stay asleep. You don't need their permission to become who you were born to be. You just need to choose. Because staying means shrinking. Staying means settling. Staying means saying to yourself, this is all I'll ever be. And that's a death you'll feel every morning. 1,000 tiny cuts to your potential. You'll wake up and feel it. The ache of unlived purpose. The tension between who you are and who you pretend to be. And the guilt. Not for failing, but for not even trying. So let's stop playing games. Let's stop sugarcoating it. Let's stop dressing up fear and calling it strategy. If you stay, you lose. It's that simple. You lose time. You lose truth. You lose yourself. Because the comfort you're clinging to, it's not comfort. It's a coffin. And the longer you lie in it, the more convincing it becomes. You decorate it with paychecks and followers and achievements and likes, but it's still a coffin. And deep down you know it. You've always known. You feel it every time the day ends. And something inside you whispers, there should have been more. So here's the last truth. If you stay, you die. Not instantly, not violently, but slowly, softly, until one day you stop dreaming, stop reaching, stop risking, and convince yourself that's maturity. It's not, it's surrender. And that is not what you came here for. You came here to build, to bleed, to rise, to risk something real, to love so hard it breaks, and to grow so far it hurts. You came here to become. But that doesn't happen by staying where it's warm. It happens out there, where it's raw, where it's wild, where it's worth it. So choose discomfort, choose chaos, choose you. Because comfort will keep you alive. But discomfort will make you feel alive. And that's the point, not to just breathe, but to burn. So this is it. The moment most people skip. The moment where the heart races and the stomach tightens and the voice in your head says, maybe later, maybe next week, maybe after the fear goes away. But let me tell you something that will either free you or haunt you forever. The fear never goes away. And that's the point. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is dancing with it, looking it in the eye, walking with it, taking the step anyway. Right now your life is standing still. Not because you're broken, not because you're not capable, but because you've convinced yourself you need more time. But time isn't your problem. Indecision is. You're not trapped because the door is locked. You're trapped because you keep staring at the open door, wondering if you deserve to walk through it. Wondering if you're good enough, ready enough, smart enough, strong enough. And here's the truth. You'll never feel ready. Because this moment, this is as ready as you'll ever be. And if you don't move now, if you don't act while the fire is still warm, something inside you will go cold again. And this time, it might not reignite. So what are you waiting for? Another video? Another quote? Another sign? This is it. This is the sign. This is the universe whispering. No screaming. That it's time. Time to stop watching other people live. Time to stop consuming dreams and start creating them. Time to stop waiting for someone to pick you and finally pick yourself. You have everything you need, not to have it all figured out, but to begin. To take the first messy, imperfect, terrifying, beautiful step toward the life that's been begging you to claim it. And you don't have to burn the whole thing down. You just have to stop pretending the cage is comfortable. You just have to stop numbing yourself to the truth. You just have to stop saying someday, when your soul is screaming now. Because someday doesn't exist. There's no calendar with that name. It's a lie, a stall, a trap. And every time you say it, you trade your fire for fog. But here's what no one tells you. Action is the cure. Movement is the answer. Not clarity, not certainty, just motion. Even the smallest step shifts the weight. Even the tiniest move tells your fear, I'm not yours anymore. So go. Write the post. Make the call. Send the message. Start the plan. Take the risk. Do the thing that's been circling your mind at 3 a.m., begging to be born. You don't need to know how it ends. You just need to start. Because starting creates momentum. Momentum creates belief. Belief creates progress. And progress becomes freedom. And look, this isn't a movie. There won't be a soundtrack rising as you throw off the chains. There won't be a crowd cheering the first time you say no to a life that doesn't fit you. It'll be quiet, lonely, terrifying, but also liberating. Because when you take your first step out of the cage, even if your knees shake and your hands tremble, you'll feel it. That click inside your chest, that moment when you realize you're alive again. And that's the fire I want you to hold on to. That's the fuel I want you to protect. Because the world won't protect it for you. It will try to drown it out, smother it with noise, bury it beneath routine. But you're different now. You've seen too much, felt too much, burned too much. You can't go back. You won't unhear this. You won't unfeel this. So don't let it fade. Let it explode. Let it tear down every lie they told you about who you had to be. Let it melt the mask you've been wearing to make other people comfortable. Let it burn the version of you that settled for just being fine. And from those ashes, rise. As something new, something true, something unstoppable. This isn't motivation. This is a rebirth. A line drawn in fire. You've been given the choice. Comfort or courage. Numbness or truth. Survival or freedom. So tell me, what will you choose? Will you go back to scrolling, forgetting, waiting? Or will you take the one action that separates the dreamers from the doers, the trapped from the free, the sleepers from the awakened? If you're still here, if your soul is still trembling from everything you've just felt, don't let this be another video that ends and gets forgotten. Let it be the beginning, a declaration, a decision, a fire starter. I want you to do something bold. Right now, go to the comments and write it like a war cry. I choose fire, not just as a phrase, as a commitment to yourself, to your future, to your freedom. Write it as a promise to the version of you that almost didn't make it. Write it for the dreams you buried. Write it because if you don't, this fire will flicker out again. But if you do, it just might become a wildfire. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next year, not when you feel ready, now. Because the cage was never locked, because the fire never died, because the life you want has always been waiting. The only question left is, will you go get it? This is the final breath, the last beat, the moment where truth can no longer be denied or avoided. You've made it through the fog. You've walked the corridors of comfort, seen how it lulls, how it numbs, how it seduces you into silence. You've stared into the mirror and met the version of you that's been begging for air. And now you know. You know what comfort really is. You know what it costs. You know what's waiting on the other side of courage. But here's the last truth I'll leave you with. The most brutal of all. No one is coming. No mentor. No guide. No angel disguised as timing. There is no hero. There is no last-minute rescue. There is only you, and the clock, the choice, the cage that was never closed, and the fire that never fully died. You don't need motivation anymore. You've seen too much for that. You don't need more words. What you need now is silence. A second to sit in everything you've heard, everything you've remembered, everything you once buried and can no longer ignore. So I won't fill this space with noise. Instead, I'll ask you something dangerous. Not loud, not dramatic, just true. Are you going to burn, or are you going to fade? Are you going to take this fire, this ache, this resurrection, and do something with it? Or are you going to walk away from it like it was just another idea? Because let me tell you what happens when you ignore a fire long enough. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't beg. It just dies. And when it does, it takes a part of you with it. The part that once believed in more. The part that saw beyond what everyone else settled for. The part that was wild, untamed, beautiful. The part that believed. So no, this is not about chasing dreams like they're accessories. This is about survival. Soul survival. Because if you walk away from this moment without doing something, without choosing something, you're not just going back to the cage. You're locking the door from the inside. But if you choose to stay awake, if you choose to feel this pain, if you choose to carry this fire, not just in this moment but into your minutes, your mornings, your habits, your identity, then everything changes, not because the world gets easier, but because you get louder. You become the flame, and flames don't ask for permission. They don't shrink to fit their surroundings. They expand, they consume, they light the way for others, and that's who you are now, if you choose it. So here's what I want you to do, not for me, not for this video, not for show, for you, for the part of you that didn't die, the part that's ready to rise. I want you to choose something real right now, not a like, not a scroll, not a save, a choice. Make the call you've been avoiding, say the words you've been swallowing, cut the habit you know is killing you, write the plan, burn the bridge, build the one that terrifies you. Whatever it is, start it now. Don't wait until it feels easier. Don't wait until it feels perfect. The pain of beginning is temporary. The pain of never beginning, that lasts forever. This is not about proving anything to anyone. This is not about showing the world you're ready. This is about showing yourself that you're still alive. And that's enough. That's more than enough. Because most people never get this far. Most people hear the call and run. But you're still here, reading this, listening, trembling, maybe, but not turning away. That means something. It means your soul isn't done. It means you haven't quit yet. It means you're still one choice away from becoming someone unrecognizable. And one day, you'll look back at this moment and realize this was it. The second everything changed. Not when you had it all figured out, but when you finally stopped waiting, when you stopped explaining, when you stopped negotiating with your fear, when you chose the fire. So let it burn now, let it rise, let it melt the lies, and incinerate the guilt, and reduce the shame to smoke. Let it whisper in your ear at night, you were meant for more. Let it echo through every quiet morning, you're not behind, you're beginning. Let it speak louder than the fear, louder than the doubt, louder than every voice that told you to stay small. Let it turn your life into something worth remembering, not because it was easy, but because you had the courage to walk through the fire. This is your final invitation, not to a dream, but to a decision, not to escape, but to evolve. The world doesn't need more safe people. It doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones. Ones who risk, ones who feel, ones who show up, even when it shakes them. That can be you. But only if you say yes, not with your words, with your life. So say it, type it, write it in your journal, carve it into your bones. I choose fire. Let that be your oath, your flag, your line in the sand. Let it be the moment the cage stopped feeling like home. Let it be the moment you became your own rescue. Let it be the moment you finally said, I am not afraid to burn. Because this life, this one, wild, beautiful, terrifying life, it doesn't belong to the ones who hide. It belongs to the ones who dare. So go. Before the fire dies. Before the excuses return. Before the voice goes silent again. Go become the person who walks through the flames and never looks back.